want to ask you about some funny fighters that I get a laugh about because I just want to know what you think of. What do you think about Adrien Broner?
Adrien Broner. Adrien Broner, without question, has talent. Sometimes he talks too much. Sometimes sometimes I said, and I pulled him aside one time. I said, hey, man, you being known for what you do outside the ring than in the ring. And he looked at me like I was crazy. I've always looked at him as having talent, but you can't be 50% of a fighter best out there because no one knows what's going to come out your. But
right.
But I have no right to say before it'll be that way. But I was just trying to give him a little bit of my own philosophy and advice. But he.
What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, Sugar Ray Leonard, as you heard, asked about Adrien Broner. It's funny, I came across this video and I made a couple of videos. I've said the same thing about Adrien Broner. The same exact things. Okay? Adrien Broner can fight, but Adrien Broner talks too much. And he's known more for what he does outside the ring, which is pretty much mostly 99.9% times something negative. And other than that, it's always like he's going to somebody's fight or coming from somebody's fight, and he always has an opinion. He's like very strongly opinionated on what this guy should have did and who did what, whatever. And then, every time they ask him a question, he's always like, anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. Anybody. Da 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 da. Then goes into his big fight and lose. And nobody. It's not about bashing Adrien Broner. I don't do the bashing thing. In fact, like I said, Adrien is one of the people that I like to see win. It's just the whole point of when you're speaking, um, I don't know his camp. I don't know what, I'm not there to see what who's around him, how they talk to him. But like when you have a bunch of yes men around you, people won't say, hey man, look, we need to tighten up with this training. We need to get, more focused. I've seen videos where Adrien Broner's own trainer is telling him, like, man, you gotta let your hands go, man. Adrien, why are you throwing? And Adrien, like, he likes to argue with the trainers and, pause. Back. So, yeah, I mean, trying to like arguing, and it's one of these things where, and don't get me wrong, you as a fighter, you know what's working, you know whatever, but you have that same sense of what works, what doesn't work, or what you have to improve on. But a lot of times, sometimes like a lot of fighters, they don't have it in them to do the things that they're trying to see. They don't have it in them. Whether they're afraid of getting hit, they don't think they can get the shot off fast enough. They don't feel that confident throwing that type of punch or combination at this particular fighter, or they train in certain ways where it's not benefiting them. And we've seen a decline in Adrien Broner's skill set. We've seen it. We've seen it. And basically, I think more the reason that we see the decline, I don't think his confidence, I don't think Adrien just is, it looks like he's afraid of getting hit, man. And I'm pretty sure he say, no, I ain't afraid to get hit. Then, my thing is, you can say what you want, but like I said, you went from 130 or up to 147. You beat guys at 147. So you can't make the excuse. Okay? You can't make the excuse about, like he said out of his own mouth, what's weight, right? He goes up, he fight, then he said, man, I ain't gonna keep fighting these big guys. Like you act like he said it like someone made him. Nobody made you go up to 147. But then, he fought Mikey Garcia. Remember, he said, I'm undefeated at 140. And I feel offended that people not giving me my props, thinking like I'm going to lose this fight. And what happened? He lost. So again, you're not as good as your attitude is. You have more attitude and ego than ability. He can fight. But Adrien is not as good as we thought he was going to be. Or we would have liked to seen him be, or it seemed like he was going to be, or whatever. You fought Mikey at 140. So now he's back at 140. And again, all of the real big names, they're not at 140. They're not at 140. Okay? And they keep saying, but he came from 130. That don't matter because he's not going to go back down to 135 or 130. He's not going to go back to that weight. Okay, and truthfully, he was too big for that weight. Let's be real. Adrien Broner walks around like 160 something pounds. He's a big dude. He's stocky. He's not a small guy, man. He's a big ass head. Adrien Broner is not a little guy. But at the end of the day, yeah, Ray said the same thing. Y'all can go look. I said it several videos ago. And Adrien Broner's a guy I like to see win. But because I like to see you win, I'm not going to do like Deontay Wilder fans do and sit back, oh, stop hating on Adrien. No, it's not about hating on Adrien. Call a spade, man. Don't sit up and say, just sit up and know inside you see the things that this man need to work on. You see the things that and then other things that you don't see that whatever, but that he deals with, but you see things you see flaws. You see the flaws that why he can't win big fights. You see what he's doing, why he's struggling in fights that he should be able to win. But instead of sitting there cheerleading and applauding that, no, you make that known. Someone DM'd me one time saying, but Adrien Broner, why is everybody hating on Adrien? I said, why do you think it's hate? Now, hate is hate. Somebody bashing him, calling him a bitch, he's trash, he's garbage, that's hating on the person. That's hate. But for someone to speak up against, and hey, look, man, this, that, and the third, like I said to somebody that made a comment about Deontay Wilder, right? And I said, why don't you guys go on his social media, right? Instead of getting offended, which doesn't matter to me anyway, I'm gonna say what I want to say anyway, but not just me, but anybody. Why don't you guys, instead of getting offended, right? Why don't you guys go on Deontay Wilder's social media and why don't you reach out to him and say, hey, look, man, we fighting for you. We making up all these dumbass excuses for you. We keep trying to give you, a reason to have lost by way via dirty shit going on Fury's side. And you're not saying nothing. Like, bro, come on, we standing with you. You got to say something, man. Hey, you're our king, man. You right? You're our king. You that dude. We big up in you. You know what I'm saying? Twerk Master Wilder. We're big up in you. Why don't you say something? They don't do that. Instead, anything that they see about Wilder that they don't like, they get offended. And, you had people that was kind of doing the same thing with Adrien Broner for a little bit. And you had people trashing him. Because I was a person who had a little, nothing big. Just someone said something that I had to let them know they was being a hypocrite. Because of something that they said about Adrien Broner. I didn't take it personal. But it's just I heard this person preaching video after video after video, and he turns around and does the same exact thing that, he's accusing other people of doing. But he don't care about Adrien Broner as a fighter, so it's like, oh, he's trash to me, But anyway, yeah, Adrien Broner, man, he is a good fighter. But I think we've already seen the best Adrien Broner. I mean, he's only getting older, man. And the thing, there's a difference when you're progressing. Like, see, for example, we see Devin Haney progressing. We haven't seen Devin Haney in a fight where he fought someone that was able, like, people always want to say exposed, which to me is, that word is overused. Okay, how about your opponent was just better than people gave him credit for? How about this guy is just as good as you or almost as good as you that he gave you a tough fight? Because on paper, people look at things and reputation and think you're just going to run through everybody. No, everything is not somebody got exposed. But we haven't seen Devin Haney have a fight where it looked like man, that could have went either way. Or, we haven't seen, we're seeing progression in every fight. Tank Davis, we seen same thing. Then the last fight that he had, where, they were, the guy's 38 years old and Tank couldn't knock him out and all this nonsense, whatever. But, so he was exposed. No, shit happens. You go back and look at every Ali fight, and you tell me Ali was the same in every fight. Go look at every Ray Leonard fight, every Duran fight, every Ray Robinson, every Joe Louis, every Mike Tyson, every Holyfield. You go back and look at anybody's fight. You tell me anybody, they were the same in every fight. No. So what we're saying is, well, for me, speaking for me, Adrien Broner, to me, the weakest part of Adrien Broner is his mind. I think he's too stubborn for his own good to understand that, look, man, the skill set that he needs to have, and how could you imitate Floyd Mayweather, You see Floyd's defensive skills, but I always tell people Floyd is elusive. He can move and he can box. Adrien Broner is flat-footed. Adrien Broner is flat-footed. He doesn't have the upper body movement. He doesn't know how to slide and roll, and that's not what he does. He just leans, and he gets hit because he goes straight back to the ropes. He doesn't slide down, move. He doesn't do that. He doesn't have. There's a lot of differences. If you just sat and watched, you would see the differences. So it's like I don't get in my feelings. It's like I said, Adrien is a guy I want to see win. So if I'm sitting here telling you this about Adrien, obviously I'm not biased for no fighter. I don't make their money. They don't get paid and pay me. I don't, that's not what this is. There's no partnership. I just like certain fighters. And you know what? I like that guy right there. But I just know fighter that I feel like I hate this guy. Now, don't get me wrong. You do have people that have certain arrogance or certain attitudes about them that's kind of like, but none of it is personal. You never hear me, I hate that guy. I can't stand that guy. That sounds bitchy to me, man. We're men. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't get in my feelings about that. Just like you hear me saying, like when I'm saying what I say about Deontay Wilder's skill set, if I seen Deontay Wilder as an improved fighter and he went there, and I would be the first to say, hey, Deontay was looking sharp. He's turning that right hand over now. He's throwing combinations. Hey, you know what? I see an improvement. Now, it's nothing. What is it going to hurt for me to say the truth if that's what I see? But if I'm saying the guy has nothing but a right hand, and then you get offended because you guys sit there and probably got Deontay Wilder pillowcases and probably got him on your screensaver on your phone and computers and shit, that's your business. But I don't do that for any fighter, man. Someone made a comment about Anthony Joshua and said Anthony Joshua ran from Andy Ruiz. He fought like a scared fighter. I said, you're doing nothing but repeat what Robert Garcia said, what Paulie Malignaggi said. That's all you're doing. And I'm pretty sure you're a Wilder fan or a Fury fan. Well, yeah, like what? Okay, exactly. So basically, and I asked the same person, how do you feel about Sugar Ray Leonard? Oh, Ray Leonard was the man. I said, you think Ray Leonard was hell yeah. I said, okay. So you do realize that when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Roberto Duran the first fight, he got beat because he tried to stand there and brawl with him, right? And the second fight, he moved and used every inch of the fucking ring. You realize that, right? Now, he knew where I was going with that. Well, that's true. Exactly. So now, all of a sudden, the same thing that Ray Leonard did, you didn't call it running. You called it clever, masterful boxing, right? That's what you called it. But when Anthony Joshua, who didn't move nearly as much as Ray was, didn't move nearly as much as Ali did, but he showed I can get on my toes and box and keep it long and use my reach like I'm supposed to. I'm 6'6". Why am I fighting a guy 5'10"? Why am I up here? And if you knew how to fucking box, I wouldn't want you motherfuckers to be my trainer. I'd fight all you motherfuckers. You want me to be tall. You want me, a tall guy, fighting a short guy in the phone booth when I don't need to. Like I said, they get past your guard, they get in, and you got the skills to rough them up inside, get in, get out, hold, whatever that's cool. Because that's part of your arsenal. But just stand there and bang with somebody when you don't have to, especially when the guy's much faster than you. I mean, that's nothing but you guys' anger because you're saying, I want him to stand there and hope he gets knocked out. And out of his own mouth, like he said, if he would have fought the same way in the rematch, it probably would have been the same results. And he did what he had to do to win. That's boxing. That's what it comes down to. And that's the same thing. It's no different for Adrien Broner. If you don't have the skills to adjust and adapt to the fighter that's in front of you, you're going to do the same thing. You can't fight everybody the same way. You see, like when you see Adrien when he fought against Mikey Garcia, he just kept jabbing. Then he throw the 1-2. No real purpose behind it. What was the combination punching? What was the lateral movement? What was the angles? What was the traps? Where was Idiot at? He just fought on the back foot with no plan. He had no game plan. None whatsoever. So if people are that childish, that's why I say I don't want kids on my channel, man. Grown-ups, no kids. And I don't care if you're 55 years old, right? How you carry yourself. For you to get upset because someone is pointing out things that they see, that's your problem. And if you're that immature to understand that this is what we do, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? For everybody out there, whether it's Blue Blood, whether it's 7-8 Sports, whether it's Dante, whatever, there's things that they say that I agree with. There's things that they say that I feel like, yeah, that's true. Okay, I see that's right. But there's a whole lot of shit I don't agree with. And my whole thing with them, I don't know these people personal. I hate them. No, I don't know them. My thing is they are extremely biased. Anybody can see that shit. And I don't get down with these groups like I'm a part of some. No, what I'm saying is you can't be. First off, for you to be a part of something, like if okay, let me put it like this. Like I said, Anthony Joshua is the heavyweight that I want to see clean up the division and be that guy, right? And as far as I'm concerned, he is. But if I sat here and made excuses for Anthony Joshua, or all I did was Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua, that guy, Anthony Joshua, right? And no matter what he does or says, right? Now think about it. And basically, I'm in my feelings about Anthony Joshua. I'd be doing the same thing they doing, just for a different fighter. Because when you are a fanboy, okay, there's a difference with somebody being a fan. I'm not a fan or a fanboy. But a fanboy is biased. They're not going to see the truth in nothing that their fighter is doing. But another fighter could be doing the same exact thing. They will point out everything they're doing wrong. You know what the difference is? When their fighter do it, it's a reason. When the other fighter does it, it's an excuse. So no, there's no favoritism to no fighter. Nobody. Nothing. So everything that we talk about is because we see it. And if I was lacking and I'm training, I'm fighting, and I got a bunch of yes men around me saying, just applaud everything I'm doing. But you got people around me noticing I'm you know what, something I'm not doing, I'm not stepping my game up. And all I want to do is argue with them. All I want to do is I'm making excuses, but the thing is, those things are holding me back from winning fights. Like sometimes when you got to get close to a guy, everybody's not good with catching shots. Remember how Holyfield used to come in and he would do that kind of George Foreman shit? He kind of like put his hands here to catch the shot and he fired the hook. Everybody's not comfortable doing that. Burt Cooper did that. Frazier did it at times. You know, here and there, Norton did it. Everybody's not comfortable doing that. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes the trainer and the fighter is a disconnect because you're trying to make the fighter do something he's not capable of doing. One thing about Adrien is we constantly hear, let your hands go. Because why? Adrien has fast hands. But Adrien is like, this is why I said, it's like he's scared to get hit. Because he'll throw the shots one shot at a time. One shot at a time. He wasn't always like that. So something in one of them fights, whether it was Sean Porter, whether it was Maidana, somebody hit him with something that made him not want to throw punches. Even when he fought Paulie, he clearly won that fight. You know, but at that point, Adrien was looking like the way Sean Porter steamrolled through Paulie. That's kind of how we imagined Adrien, he was gonna, and he didn't. He fought very cautious against a brittle-handed, pillow-fisted fighter. And that wasn't a good sign to me. So I'm like, wow. And then his very next fight was against Marcos Maidana. And I said, I don't know, man. Because I remember Devin Alexander beat Maidana and people, who is this guy? And I'm like, yo, y'all bugging. Maidana is an awkward, strong, come forward, just throw bombs. He throws weird punches from crazy-ass angles. And Adrien fought Paulie very cautiously. So I'm like, no, we'll see. Maybe he'll turn it around and maybe he'll fight Maidana different. You know, it just was but the feeling, even when I said that, it's just maybe. But it's not like I really felt that he would. You know, you never know. But it was just watching, I'm like, no, because at some point, and he was catching Paulie with clean shots. And he never went for the kill, man. He just, it was like, that wasn't a good sign. And when you box, when you're around boxing, you get certain feelings. You just, as you know, you know, just like when you know it's time to put a guy out, and you just know. And what happens, like I said, sometimes people, they go for something, they pay for it, and then they get that fear of, all right, let me just be cautious. Look at Roy Jones Jr., right? Roy Jones Jr. used to get up in the corner and invite you in. Remember how when after he lost to Tarver, when Glenn Johnson runs across the ring, Roy is just standing on the rope, standing there. He's not doing any of that shit. He's not trying to slip and slide, just moving, standing there like with his hands up. He's not throwing anything back. This was not the same Roy. So if I say Roy was scared to get hit, he was being cautious. Well, the word scared will make him, no, he wasn't scared. No, yeah, you were. You were scared to get hit. Yes, you fucking were. Because you stood on the ropes and you did nothing but, that's all he did. The old Roy would have slip, shoe shot. Come on. Shoe shot, boom, boom, boom. Foot off them ropes. This was no longer the old Roy. You understand what I'm saying? So it don't matter if you're 30, if you're 36. The point is, you lost something. So that's part of your skill set. Roy Jones' instincts, his reflexes, his hands, all of that, his power, that was all his footwork. All of that was part of his arsenal. And when you start to lose some of those things, especially with a guy like Roy, once your reflexes is not the same, every fight is going to be that much harder. Remember when Ali slowed down and he couldn't dance like he used to, and he had to fight more flat-footed? Well, now Ali knows, now I have to fight. I have to go. I got to put it on him. I'm faster than most of these guys anyway. I got to let my hands go and get them something to worry about. You don't understand what I'm saying? He could no longer dance like that. And the fact how he used to slide his head around and make you miss, you know what I'm saying? Turn his head, just turn him, pop, you know what I mean? He wasn't doing that. He was just going straight back and moving and count. But Ali was mixing it up with guys, man. You understand what I'm saying? You didn't see Roy Jones do that. Roy Jones was just trying to not get hit at all. Not only that, Roy didn't take a punch like he used to at that point. So things change. So that's all we saying about Adrien Broner. No different. There's things that Adrien have to do. Like I said, if he go in there and beat up a bunch of meatballs, and let's say he win a title or whatever, he's in a division now where he should win a championship again. He's like a big fish in a small pond, but let's not be fooled. Somebody can pull off the upset. It can happen. It can happen. And as far as Adrien Broner, as far as him, fighting the top guys, well, we all know what happened when he stepped up. 140 doesn't have any big killer names like that now. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say on this video. We'll catch y'all on the next one.